economically meaningful. In Azerbaijan, we view artificial intelligence as an integral part of our broader digital transformation and of our transition towards the innovation-driven, knowledge-based economy. This direction is guided by a clear set of strategic documents: the Digital Development Concept, the Artificial Intelligence Strategy for Azerbaijan for 2025-28, and the Action Plan for Accelerating Digital Development for 2026-2028. Together, they provide a roadmap for advancing digital infrastructure, strengthening digital governance, expanding artificial intelligence, reinforcing cybersecurity, and supporting innovation. To ensure these priorities are pursued in a coordinated way, His Excellency President Ilham Aliyev established the Digital Development Council under the chairmanship of First Vice President Mehriban Aliyeva. This step reflects an important conviction. Artificial intelligence requires not only technology, but governance, clear priorities, strong institutions, genuine cooperation between the public and the private sector, and of course, international partners. For us, the foundation of artificial intelligence is strong digital public infrastructure. And Azerbaijan has made real progress here within the last 5 years. Our MyGov mobile platform delivers hundreds of digital public services to citizens and businesses via a single mobile application. Our SIMA digital identity and signature platform now serves more than half of the entire population of Azerbaijan across both public and private transactions. And through the Online Azerbaijan project, broadband connectivity has been extended nationwide. I would here note that Azerbaijan was one of the very first countries in our close proximity that entirely get rid of the copper, and it's the very first country in the region that have broadband connectivity deployed each and every household, small communities entirely in the country. These platforms matter not only as service in their own right, but as the foundation for what comes next. Because artificial intelligence delivers real value only when it is rests on trusted data, secure digital identity, interoperable system, and services built around the citizens. Building on this foundation, Azerbaijan is now taking concrete steps to develop its national AI ecosystem. The establishment of the National AI Center, the expansion of AI-powered public services, and the launch of an AI regulatory sandbox. The aim of these initiatives is to build sovereign capacity, the ability of the state and businesses and citizens to understand, govern, deploy, and benefit from artificial intelligence responsibly. In this same spirit, I know that it's going to be announced. We appreciate the Islamic Development Bank Group's vision for an AI academy for country officials and welcome very much the attention it brings to the capacity building as a shared regional priority. Initiatives like this will strengthen the capacity of the public officials, therefore deserve our collective support, and Azerbaijan would welcome the opportunity to contribute to such effort as they take shape. For Azerbaijan, digital transformation is an economic priority. Our aim is to strengthen the role of the ICT sector in the national economy, to open new opportunities for local startups and digital businesses, to increase ICT exports, and to attract leading international technology companies. In recent years, we have worked actively to position Azerbaijan as a regional digital hub, developing our innovation ecosystem, expanding digital infrastructure, and supporting export-oriented technology activity. We believe that artificial intelligence can accelerate every part of this agenda. It can raise productivity across sectors, create new markets for digital services, increase the competitiveness for our companies, and help the state deliver services more efficiently. We recognize, of course, that no country captured the full value of the artificial intelligence acting alone. This is where regional cooperation becomes essential and where the convening role of the Islamic Development Bank is very valuable. In our view, such cooperation should rest on three principles. The first, it must be practical, focused on use cases that solve real development problems in public sector, healthcare, education, social protection, transport, agriculture, and etc. Second, it must be inclusive, open to countries at every stage of the digital maturity, so that all can take part and all can benefit. And third, it must be sustainable. Artificial intelligence demands energy, investment, the governance, green power, responsible financing, and trusted governance must therefore stand at the center of our cooperation, not at its margins. In conclusion, let me re-emphasize that we see strong potential in the cooperation across many areas. The exchange of the AI use cases, capacity building for public officials, digital skills, digital public infrastructure, regulatory sandboxes, green data infrastructure, and digital entrepreneurship. Azerbaijan, as a host and as partner, stands ready to contribute to the shared effort in keeping with the idea that brings us together, regional integration for sustainable prosperity. Thank you very much, and I wish you a productive discussions ahead and a pleasant stay in Baku city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency Mr. Asadov, for your welcoming remarks. And now we'll come to the Islamic Development Bank side, starting with myself. My name is Shahriar Javed. I'll be the MC for this session. I am the Senior ICT Specialist at the Economic and Social Infrastructure Department of the bank. Without further ado, now I would like to invite Mr. Anas Isami, who is the DG for Country Programs at the Islamic Development Bank, who is representing the Vice President Operations. Mr. Anas, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Excellencies, distinguished guests, representatives of partner institutions, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and very warm good afternoon to all of you. It is my honor to welcome all of you to the side event on harnessing AI for advancing regional digital economies. It is fitting that we are having this discussion here in Baku across our member countries. The question is no longer whether artificial intelligence is impressive. The real question is whether it can improve the way a citizen receives a service, a farmer manages a shock, and the doctor makes a medical decision. That is the development question before this room. Artificial intelligence is now an implementation issue, not only a technology issue. It will help decide whether our member countries close the technological distance with the rest of the world, or whether that distance becomes wider. Our operational experience across our member countries has taught us one clear lesson, that no country and no institution can do this alone. Every nation faces the same practical dilemma, that is how to reach for the productivity of tomorrow while still responding to the urgent needs of today. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the promise of AI is real, and it is already visible in our member countries. In Bangladesh, an artificial intelligence tool is helping health workers screen for preventable blindness and has made them 40% more productive. In Senegal, farmers receive climate-smart advice in their own language through a simple voice assistant using nothing more than a basic phone call. But our work has also taught us a harder lesson. Artificial intelligence cannot scale on weak foundations. A promising pilot often fails to grow beyond its first village, and the reason is rarely the algorithm. It is the ground beneath it. 5 foundations decide the outcome: reliable energy, secure data systems, clear ethical governance, skilled people, and sovereign compute capacity. Without them, artificial intelligence remains a demonstration. With them, it can become a national capability. The gap is still large. More than 1.35 billion people already use artificial intelligence applications. Yet across our member countries, around 820 million people remain completely unconnected. Behind that number is a nurse who cannot access a diagnostic tool, a small business that cannot reach digital markets, and a student who is locked out of the future economy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we also have to be honest about the risks. The same tool that protects sight can, in the wrong hands, deceive, defraud, and exclude. Deepfakes, scams, biased systems, and opaque credit decisions are not abstract concerns. For a family with little to spare, one convincing fraud can mean real loss. This is why our approach cannot be technology first. It must be development first and country first. We have to build the guardrails as we build the systems so that wherever artificial intelligence spreads, the safeguards travel with it. Several member countries are already showing what this looks like in practice. Indonesia has established a national artificial intelligence task force and a presidential regulation on ethics, and estimates that artificial intelligence could add as much as 3.67% to national output, provided governance comes first. Malaysia has launched its My AI standards as a trust infrastructure to guard against deepfakes and fraud, and Saudi Arabia is anchoring a green AI compute corridor through its regional AI cloud hub, allowing several countries to share computing power without each building its own costly data center. 3 countries, 1 practical message. Where the infrastructure is missing, artificial intelligence remains a pilot. Where the foundations are in place, it becomes a platform for national development. This is why today's launch matters. IDB is not presenting artificial intelligence as a standalone technology agenda. We are proposing shared capabilities that can help our member countries move from isolated pilots to trusted, scalable platforms. The first is the AI Academy for country officials, which will train policymakers to govern, procure, and deploy artificial intelligence safely and at scale. The second is the joint multilateral development bank's AI repository, a common library of field-tested ethical artificial intelligence applications that no country should have to build alone. If there is one message to carry from this room, it is this. Infrastructure allows a tool to function, but an ecosystem allows countries to learn, to govern, scale, and trust it. That is the ecosystem we must now build together. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our panelists will now take us into the how, but let me close with a simple conviction from our work across member countries. Partnership is not an addition to this agenda, it is the agenda. The bank, our member countries, multilateral development bank partners, the private sector and knowledge institutions must work together so that artificial intelligence becomes a source of inclusion, productivity, and shared prosperity. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anas Isami, the DG of Country Programs at the Islamic Development Bank, for this standpoint of ISDB, what we understand and want our partners to look forward to as they go along this session. Without further ado, we will now end the first segment of the session and now move to the second segment, which is a quality panel discussion, where I would like to invite the DG, Dr. Isa Fai, to be the moderator for the session and take the floor from here onwards. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, DG Anas, for setting the course so clearly for me to open the discussion. Before that, I would like just to take a few minutes to set the scene on what we're going to discuss today. I'm going to use some stylized facts and issues just to belabor the point, the importance of the conversation that we're going to be having today. UN Trade and Development estimates that the AI market will grow from $189 billion in 2023 to $4.3 trillion in 2033, roughly 25 times larger than the space of a single decade. But that is not the harder truth. The harder truth is who holds that market? Who is there? Three firms, Apple, NVIDIA, and Microsoft. And each of them are worth $3 trillion US, a value that rivals the whole output of the Africa continent. So this is huge. And because of AI, some of the 40% of the jobs worldwide start to be reshaped. And as the rules of this new economy are drafted, 180 countries, most of them in the global south, sit outside of the room. They sit outside of the room. They're not there where AI is being governed. And at the same time, less than 1/3 don't have even an AI strategy at all. So this is the ground on which we are. Now, what are the harder questions that we need to ask ourselves? Our task today is not to admire the technology, no. It's not only already also to consider it as a panacea. It is not the panacea. AI is not a panacea. It is an enabler. And the question is, how do our member countries move from the edge of the seat to being seated at the center of the decision without losing sight of the development outcomes? We are now in the era of digital infrastructure execution, and the gap is no longer about connectivity, but about compute capacity, AI readiness, and sovereign digital ecosystems. The question, therefore, is how do we make AI infrastructure as shared and accessible as a highway or a power grid? To help me respond to this question, I have a distinguished panel that I'm very delighted to have welcome in Baku, and I would like to introduce the panelists to come to the podium and help me discuss and unpack all these questions. And I will call on Mrs. Mihoko Kumamoto from UNITAR to join. Mrs. Mikoko is the director of the Division for Prosperity at the UNITAR. She is a senior United Nations leader and globally recognized expert in sustainable development with nearly 30 years of experience in international development cooperation and over 2 decades of service with the UN. Thank you. I would like also to invite Dr. Ilman Abibi from Indonesia. Dr. Ilman is an Indonesian engineer, entrepreneur, and organizational leader with extensive experience across industry, technology, and public policy. And Mr. Amin Mezwagi from Morocco. He is the Director General of Morocco's Agence de Développement, and he's executing Morocco Digital 2030 Transformation National R&D into homegrown AI solutions that move beyond technology consumption. And then, last but not least, Mrs. Anya Nitsch. Anya is the Chief Partnership Officer of the Digital Cooperation Organization, and she has over 30 years of professional experience in international development resources, mobilizing strategic partnership and communication. With that, we're going to move to the conversation. I'm going to join my panelists. I hope you're hearing me. And we're going to have two rounds of questions. We're going to have two rounds of questions to discuss the different issues. We have a first round and then a second round, and maybe we're going to get questions from the audience. Yes. So I'll start with Mihoko from UNITAR. We know that UNITAR has been actively supporting governments in building capacity for emerging technology. From your experience, how has UNITAR helped member countries harness AI or economic prosperity? And what are the lessons that you can leave with the audience?
Thank you very much once again. And it's a great pleasure and honor to be part of this important panel discussion. Thank you so much. So I am from UNITAR, United Nations Institute for Training and Research. We are an UN agency specialized in capacity development. We are demand-driven, and we are partnership-based organization. So we are constantly looking for partnership opportunities. So anyone, any organization interested, please come talk with me and also my colleague Howry, who is sitting in the audience. Indeed, we have been receiving numerous requests from member states on capacity development for AI, and I would like to mention a couple of things. In the past, request was mainly about deepening understanding of the AI, but many speakers mentioned before, now it's more about application, how to use AI effectively in a practical manner. So that's one important point. And then I also like to highlight, because AI, the potential capacity of AI, it's so transformative. And when we promote capacity development, it is critical to think outside silo, not just by sector approach, but understand holistically and what kind of measures, capacity development approach we could take to transit from just sector-based approach to much more comprehensive approach. So systems thinking is absolutely critical for the area of AI. The second area I would like to highlight is when it comes to capacity development, it's absolutely important to think at three different levels. The first level, individual capacity development. So empowering decision makers, leaders from the private sector, civil society on AI application, youth and women. However, that alone is far from sufficient. How to empower institutions, institutional capacity development on AI, understanding its capacity and come up with overall strategy, implement and monitor and evaluate. Once again, institutional capacity development is absolutely essential. And then the third critical layer is to think about entire ecosystem. Now, one of the biggest challenges of AI is it's constantly changing, constantly evolving. What we learned this year may no longer be relevant next year. So what is important is to create an ecosystem that encourages individuals or institutions to constantly learn, adapt to new changes. So once again, this three-layered approach is absolutely critical. And also how to ensure they are ethical, responsible, human-centered approach, and inclusive approach, as many distinguished speakers have highlighted before. And the last point I would like to mention, and also one of the distinguished speakers mentioned this previously, because of AI, labor market is changing rapidly. So workforce, some of the people who had certain job, they are now required to gain new skill sets. They are required to update and reskill constantly. And also when we think about future generation youth, it's absolutely important for them to have a right set of skills to effectively join in the labor force. So how to make sure labor market, labor force, workforce has right skill sets. So we also receive a lot of requests from member states to support upskill and reskill the workforce. So let me stop here. Thank you very
No,
much.
thank you very much. Very insightful. Already many points mentioned. The need to be practical, the need to have institutional capacity and the ecosystem set for the jobs of the future, which can be really on the scaling and rescaling. Now, let me turn to Indonesia, talking about institutional capacity building and a legal framework and all of these things. We know Indonesia has built a strong digital public infrastructure with advanced AI policy and regulation. We wanted to learn from your experience. What could be the main building blocks of building infrastructure around AI?
Thank you very much. Also, first of all, I'd like to thank the organizers to invite me here on this very distinguished panel and talk about this very important topic. It's a pleasure and an honor. Well, Indonesia is a country that has actually a few building blocks already in place. Some are still being worked. You can say that everything is in progress. Some maybe still a lot of gaps, some quite happy news to convey. Let me start with the first building block. I think it's about the infrastructure itself, right? So basically, we talk about to give you an example, first of all, the connectivity, of course. Yeah, we have to have that in country, which is already there since many years. We have the connectivity in terms of telecommunication networks and the data centers, which is very important for AI. But also we have utilities that are important to have, like unique digital ID, and in order to basically have many users participating in whatever we build, they need to be registered as such, and it needs to be well managed. Yeah? Then, as a second building block, you have to have some application, basically, that popularizes what you have built for many people to be used. There, Indonesia really stands out. We do have something what we call QRIS, which is a substitute for a credit card, basically, but it's actually a debit card, using the mobile phone. It's using a QR code, and Indonesia, there's 58 million people already using it since, this is status this June, yeah? At the same time, it is also used by about 41 million SMEs. Yeah? So it is very practical because the cost of transaction is very low. And hence, it is popular, and you have these many, many millions of users using what you have built before in a vast, in a big dimension. Yeah? That makes people understand that it is indeed not only a showcase to have the digital infrastructure, but it is very useful because you lower the transaction cost. You can actually provide this to people that otherwise would have difficulties being in the economic cycle because they have to rely on things that are not so accessible, and that is a good showcase. The third component is, I think, the legal framework, right? You have to have the, what we call the PDB, the Privacy Data Protection Law, which I'm happy to say we have modeled it after the law that is basically available in the EU. So we adhere to the high standard in order to make sure that the data that is essential to do anything to do with AI, I mean AI, without data, there's no AI, right? You just have a smart algorithm, but you have to train it. It has use of millions and billions of data, and the more data you use, the better the AI. So in that regard, Indonesia is about to, I mean, it is relatively new, but at the same time, we basically have the legal framework. Another would be basically we have to have our own sovereignty, right? The AI that we are planning for that to have it, and it's already in place. but certain things we have to do ourselves. It's not only using other people's solution. What happens that if this is a famous coincidence right now, just a few days ago, Anthropic has been shut out, right? We cannot use it anymore. So what about sovereignty? It's not just resident data in country, but there's applications, internet, technology that you need to have yourself to a certain degree, and hence we need to do it regionally, because I'm quite sure that no country is in a position to do it itself. I mean, we have these two digital superpowers like the United States and China, but they are very different how they manage AI. I mean, China is very regulated, US is very open. So we think that Indonesia should be, we are proposing something like a middle way. Indonesia has always been a non-block country, actually the founding member of the non-block movement in 1955 in Bandung. And so from that tradition, we believe we should find for an AI also a framework which does not make us overly dependent on one or the other, the two superpowers I was talking about before. So that requires, of course, the last thing. What is that? People, right? We need to have digital literacy in a big way. So we are introducing IT-based education, including AI, as early as possible. It comes with a risk, of course, yeah, because you don't know how young people will perceive it, and maybe they get sort of too much reliant on AI, not really learning. There's a lot of debate. I don't want to go into detail, but it needs to be included in order to have the users well educated. Digital literacy in the big masses, and of course you need some, maybe not in the same number, super specialists. You need to have the top-notch scientists also in those disciplines. And all of these, I think, is very important to have, building blocks. And you cannot have all at once. It needs to be developed. And one thing, the last thing I want to say is, because we're talking regional, and Indonesia is a member of ASEAN. ASEAN is 11 countries, and I'm proud to say that by November 2026, we have the Digital Economic Framework Agreement for ASEAN in place to be signed in Manila, which is the first one in the world where the neighboring countries regionally work together and agree on digital economic framework with all the rules and regulations regarding data flow and technology, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's very important to know. So we know that regional digital economies is really something very important, particularly in the age of AI.
Excellent. Very, very, very interesting and very thoughtful. I think we have keywords like infrastructure, applications, legal framework, people, digital literacy, sovereignty, and most importantly, a framework, a regional platform to make sure that it works. So now, there is one word that resonates, which is the sovereignty and the solutions that come with that. And this is helping me have a segue to Morocco. Now, Ms. Wagner, you became producers of innovative solutions tailored to your own economic realities in Morocco. And you didn't just stay as a consumer. You provide solution and you develop solution. How did Morocco strengthen its national research and development capabilities in AI to reach that level of sophistication?
Well, thank you, Sadir Or. Assalamu alaikum. Allow me, first of all, to thank the ISDB group for the invitation and the Republic Sister of Azerbaijan for hosting this 2026 annual meetings of ISDB in this beautiful city, Baku. It's both an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this event, and especially to this panel. To answer your question, I think that one of the most important things Morocco understood very early is that becoming a producer of innovation doesn't happen overnight or doesn't start directly with AI. It starts by building strong digital foundations and creating an ecosystem where innovation can emerge locally and sustainably. This vision is strongly aligned with the high orientations of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God assist him, who has consistently emphasized the importance of digital transformation, human capital development, innovation as a strategic leverage for economic and social development. Over the past years, Morocco has progressively invested in digital infrastructure, e-government solution, digital inclusion, startup support, open data, and digital skills development. This contributes to create the ecosystem necessary for innovation, to emerge locally, and to move from technology consumption toward more locally designed solutions. In Morocco, the Digital Development Agency has played an important role as a catalyzer for this ecosystem by working simultaneously on several dimensions. First, strengthening digital capacity with some initiatives such as Academia الرقمية, Digital Academy, which consists in a national e-learning platform and multiple national capacity building programs, which is Morocco invested in developing digital skills among young public administrations, entrepreneurs, SMEs. Because before producing advanced technology, we need human capital able to design, deploy, and scale in innovation. Second, supporting innovation and entrepreneurship. Morocco has been and still is focusing on creating stronger bridges between startups, universities, public institutions, and private sector actors, because innovation cannot happen in silos. Events such as GITEX Africa Morocco became important platforms not only for visibility but also for connecting Moroccan innovators and with investors, research institutions with international technology ecosystem. It is also the role we play as chair of CAITA, the Council of African IT Agency. Another important aspect was building trusted digital and data ecosystems. Morocco has been advancing initiatives related to interoperability, digital public services, territorial open data, and administrative modernization. This is essential because innovation requires accessible, reliable, and usable digital environments and should not remain concentrated only in major cities or central administrations. What is important in this Moroccan approach is that we adopt a pragmatic and impact-oriented visions. This is where AI and emerging technologies become relevant, not as objectives by themselves, but as tools to improve economic competitiveness and development, public services delivery, and to generate concrete economic and social impact for citizens, businesses, and public administration. Today, Morocco's ambition is really to strengthen its regional position as a digital and innovation hub for Africa. And this requires continued investment in research and development capacities, technology transfer, startup scaling, digital talent retention, and stronger collaboration between academia, government, and industry. Because one of the key challenges facing many countries today is not necessarily the production of knowledge, but rather the ability to transform that knowledge into innovation and subsequently into economic and social value. We need to shorten the distance between the laboratory, the marketplace, public institution, and citizens. Ultimately, the question is not simply about producing more technologies or developing more algorithms. The real challenge is creating value. How can AI improve competitiveness, enhance public service delivery, and support local development with creating new opportunities for future generations? This is the path Morocco is pursuing today. Our ambition too is to build an ecosystem where research, innovation, entrepreneurship, and public action work together to ensure that AI becomes a powerful driver of economic growth, social progress, and sustainable development. If I were to summarize this ambition, I would say that our goal is not only to adopt the technologies of the future, but to create the conditions that allow innovation to generate tangible and inclusive impact for citizens and territories. This approach is what allowed Morocco to progressively move from technology consumption toward more locally designed and regionally relevant innovation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mizwaini. And the experience of Morocco is very, very telling. You start by, you need a vision. The vision is important, but not only the vision. The vision needs also entrepreneurs. You need to have a research and development program. You need to have data and ecosystems in place to make sure that you can deliver. But most importantly, you need this digital literacy we are talking about through the digital academy and the capacity building. And AI will then help enable better productivity, better service delivery, and the like. Now, I want to come into that, this translating the vision to something. And this is where, Anya, I need your help into unpacking that. Many countries are developing AI strategy, but far few of them can translate that strategy into something implementable. How do we move from the strategy to implementing concrete action on the ground?
Thank you so much, Dr.
Or what
Issafi.
are the key ingredients to that?
Isafi, very good question. I think we already heard excellent examples here on the panel today, and in this context, indeed, we are very pleased to be part and parcel of this discussion. DCO is the Digital Cooperation Organization, which is an international organization that provides specific support to our member states to really achieve the goals of and also reap the benefits of the digital economy. And overarchingly, we are looking at creating digital prosperity for all, so that we are leaving no one behind there. So in this context, of course, we want to talk about practical solutions and also talk how we can help our member states to move from the strategic level, from a plan, to actual implementation. And overarchingly, of course, this is the crux of the matter, and here also there are a number of challenges. Many of those we already heard today. Let me just paraphrase a little bit. I believe the richest man of the world these days. He actually said, "AI is fast, implementation at scale is slow." So this is a bit my adaptation. But we need both. We need both, right? We need the technology and we need the implementation. And you already heard about the speed and how these technologies are advancing, and also the magnitude we have heard about. The challenge also, as our distinguished speaker from Morocco mentioned, the challenge is really how we translate it into benefits for our citizens and our communities. So DCO is working on and publishing regularly the Digital Economy Navigator. And here we are actually creating also a database research to show how different member states are advancing in the digital economy and also on AI maturity. To be very honest, the picture is not very good. There are significant gaps. Overall, we are rating the maturity of the, it's very bleak, actually a bit dark, now to say. I can hardly see you, but I assume you're still here. But in terms of digital maturity of member states and also beyond, we have assessed 80 countries. It is less than half what countries actually need to achieve. So the maturity index is around 44%, which means actually in many areas that are needed to really apply the technologies properly, there are a lot of gaps that need to be filled. In terms of AI governance, this is the lowest scoring category. It's at 30% only. So here, definitely something for everyone also to work and provide support on. And also there is a high concentration of research and compute capacities, and this is very highly concentrated in the advanced economy. And I think Dr. Issafi already referred to that, and that actually it is concentrated with a number of companies operating in the developed world. So definitely big gaps that need to be bridged. So now to the question, how do we bring the AI ambition to impact, to AI impact? What does it take? So from our experience and our ambition also for DCO is really to provide practical support to countries to move towards implementation. There are three elements that are really needed to be successful in AI adaptation. The first, and we've already heard a little bit by Miyoko also about this, we need a whole of government and a whole of ecosystem approach that combines 6 different elements, and these might not be new to you, but we need good policies, we need the right infrastructure, we need the skills, we need the governance, the financing, and the unique and true partnerships to support all of this. Second, we need very clear roadmaps, not just strategy papers. We need roadmaps, investment plans, ownership structures in place, and measurable targets to accompany these strategies. And third, and again, some of the distinguished speakers have already referred to that, we need interoperability of data governance and trust. And trust is really a key word that we need to note down here. So let me break that down a bit further. We found that AI readiness is much more than having the technology. It is also about ethics and governance. One of the main ingredients is to build governance by design. So right from the beginning, governance needs to be part and parcel of the technology solutions that you want to apply. Second, AI cannot scale without trusted digital systems, and I already mentioned trust is really important. So we need trusted digital systems, quality data, interoperability, and secure digital infrastructure. Countries need strong digital foundations before AI can deliver impact on a national scale as we all would like it to deliver. And third, we need to invest in people and institutions. Capacity building is essential, again, already referred to by my colleagues here on this panel, not only for technical talent, but also for policymakers, regulators, and public institutions responsible for governing AI responsibly. So definitely here, DCO, as I mentioned, we are providing practical support to member states. We have developed an operational toolbox which combines practical instruments, use cases, and help member states with real-world deployment. We have a DCO ethical AI guidebook for policymakers. We have a DCO AI ethics evaluator, which will give you immediate results when you run different tools and new solutions through it in terms of how do they comply with ethical requirements. And then also in AI real adoption playbook. So this is all part of the toolbox, and they're ready and very practical to be applied in different countries. And they have been used across all of our membership and beyond. So also an important part I want to mention is an initiative we are joining together also with UNESCO and others. It's related to the Ethical AI Initiative, because definitely ethical principles need to be at the core of what we are developing for the future. So these are, as I said, tools that are already being applied, that are helping member states to develop the different strategies, but also the roadmaps and move on the implementation. So just to summarize, since Isafi, since you asked about what do we need to really move into implementation. So strong government ownership matters, and here we are very clear, and we have heard very good examples from Morocco and Indonesia. Data governance and interoperability are critical. Third, sustainable financing and AI-specific investments are often missing, so we need to put these in place. Partnerships, already mentioned, partnerships really need to operate across government, academia, industry, and international organizations. These are essential, and ethical and inclusive AI must be embedded from the outset and not added later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anya. And we see that we are converging in many of the issues that were mentioned, but few that I picked up on top of what was mentioned before is trust. Building the trust is extremely important to make sure that our data are not really used and not protected, and protecting the users. Governance is another point that is very important, ownership and all of that. But one important word that you mentioned is partnerships. Very, very important. And this brings me to Ilham and to talking to Asia. You mentioned regional integration. This is partnership. Regional integration is about coordination, bringing everybody together. And I would like to know with who you are partnering Indonesia is partnering, and how? And how do we establish a realistic path to AI infrastructure that is sovereign, shared, and green?
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, let me just emphasize these three keywords, right? Shared, sovereign, and green, yeah? In the context of regional, right? The sharing is very important, as I said before. It's very hard for any country to do everything, right? So it's also actually at the same time part of the diversification strategy. To give you a very vivid example, let's say you want to build a network. In the world, we have three vendors that are very prominent. Ericsson, Nokia, I can mention because it's the only three, and Huawei. I think it's risky to use only one because some of them made it clear they can actually remote control those. Yeah? So therefore, it is actually wise to have a diversification strategy. So that's basically sharing in terms of sharing the same strategy also with your partners in the region. Right? And sovereign, similar, right? I mentioned it before with Anthropic. We know that other vendors from that same country have the ability to do something with whatever they have in another country. And so it's good to have a good portion of your own capability, your own products. And again, you can't do everything yourself, so share with your trusted partners. Yeah? I think very important. And green, well, the future will, I mean, AI is enormously energy consumptive. Yeah. If you just ask, I had a discussion with a friend who is an expert in this. If you just ask one question in AI, you make about a half glass water, bring it to boiling. It's about that amount of energy. Just imagine people just play with AI just to ask stupid question. How much energy you consume? So basically, I think, for me personally, I think in the future of AI, we have to make sure that we don't make AI so energy hungry that it will blow up our world. Yeah? It has to be regulated. But for the moment, I think AI will go more and more after the energy to the sites where you have the green energy available, right? So the more, I mean, if there's a country that is like a lot of green energy available, this country will attract more data centers, say, yeah? Or more computing centers, because it's so energy consumptive. And I think this is maybe, I mean, you mentioned that AI is over, or at least the richest man with 1.2 trillion US dollars said it, right? I don't believe it. I think we have seen only the beginning. There is so much more to do with so many different, I don't want to go into technology, but we are just in the beginning of the AI revolution. Yeah? There's so much more we don't understand yet. But what does it mean in terms of, you mentioned the three principles, sharing and sovereign and green,
Yeah,
but also the...
No, I think that you covered them.
I covered everything
the
already.
green, sovereign, and shared. Yes.
Yeah, but there are
covered.
some things, just an example, I wanted to mention what we do in Indonesia, maybe as an example. We built something our own. Of course, we are not at the same level like US or China when it comes to AI, what is that, the quality and the size, but it's a beginning, right? We have to do our own, and also we are producing some of the components, although like chips, I mean, that is a strategy of our country, but our current president is going to go strongly more into the semiconductor industry. I mean, if you look into the future of our world, just imagine everything is connected in this room, including the chair I'm sitting on and my shoes and everything. We need so many more chips. So there is a bottleneck for this, yeah? It's everything concentrated on a few areas. I think semiconductor industry will have to look into diversification. More countries need to produce more components of the semiconductor industry and also electronic industry, not just a few around. Yeah, so that is something I think every country that is represented in this room can have a share of that. It would provide jobs, and they have to be green, of course, but I think this is a big part of the future.
Excellent. No, I think that very, very clear that there is, at regional level, we can really mutualize the efforts, make sure that diversification is there, homegrown solution.
One thing I wanted to, because you asked also partner with whom?
Yes,
Of course, I should mention the ISDB, right? So ISDB is the preferred partner in this, and there is some excellent program that some of us are not aware of. The ISDB has a so-called reverse linkage, which is basically if there's a technology available in one country, member state or shareholder of ISDB helps that country to basically collaborate with another country in the ISDB or IC framework to basically make that technology not only available but successful.
You're making my life easy. You're selling my product.
Okay,
for
I'm
us.
sorry.
Excellent. Doing excellent.
Yeah, no, that is very important, and we should be. Many people don't know about this, but I think it's a wonderful, wonderful program that should be much more used. And there is something that I'm actually leading myself since 10 years now called IFTIHAR, which is the International Islamic Foundation platform for science, technology, and human resources development. Yeah. And so that is founded by an Indonesian organization, plus ISDB, plus Rabita Alam Islami, plus the Federation of Arabic and Islamic Schools, and Triple IT, the International Institute for Islamic Thought. That was 30 years ago founded, and what we do, we want to develop, or we're developing this into a global innovation hub. And that will be a, collaborating with ISDB in the framework of reverse linkage. I think this is, and of course, semiconductor industry, AI is an excellent example of what we can do for our Ummah.
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing up the reverse linkage, which is one of our mechanisms that we have in the ISDB. We are very proud of it and looking forward to see how we can work together in this area. But really, thank you. I have two more questions before I go to the audience. I think the audience also may have some questions to ask. Coming back to UNITAR and the work that you're doing into scaling projects, I'm trying to understand how UNITAR identified initiative, maybe initiative in the ISDB member country, and how do you mature those initiatives to become regional model? Because we're thinking of regional integration. Do you have a case where you work with ISDB or other partners where you can really reach scale because of regional integration?
Thank you. Thank you very much for that question. So we have been implementing various capacity development initiatives, and here I would like to share with you one concrete example, which we have been working closely with Malaysia. So we have been, as I mentioned before, our approach is partnership-based, and particularly partners from the private sector. So we have been working closely with multiple private organizations. For this specific initiative called Pathway to Prosperity for Malaysia, we have been partnering closely with this company called Google, I'm sure everyone knows, and the goal is to empower women in Malaysia on AI and data management. So helping women, empowering women so that they can sit in the driving seat. And this initiative is to support current and future workforce to be AI ready. And this initiative we have been running in a scalable way. So we are very keen to find out if any organization, any individuals would be interested in learning more about this initiative. And I would just like to highlight 3 important points that came out of this initiative. The first point, as I mentioned before, and also highlighted by our dear panel members, once again, digital technology constantly evolving in an exponential manner. So learning content need to be adaptable and flexible. So that's one. And inclusiveness, once again, we cannot widen further digital gaps. We really need to think about how to narrow such gaps. So inclusiveness needs to be central to everything we do. And finally, PPP, public-private partnership. And this is absolutely critical for this field, AI, digital technology. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to AI, the private sector, they have the latest cutting-edge knowledge. Simultaneously, the role of the public sector is essential to make sure AI is social public good. So cooperation between private sector, public sector, and of course, many other partners is essential. So these 3 points, once again, adaptability, inclusiveness, and public-private partnership are absolutely essential. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kumamoto. Very, very important. Private sector involvement, bringing the technology is key, but inclusion and inclusiveness, because we need to pay attention. that the AI brings also a divide, because there will be a risk that exclusion can be a little bit wider if we don't take appropriate measures. Now, Mr. Mizwagni, Morocco Digital Development Agencies has launched the Al-Khawarizmi program to support applied research and innovation in artificial intelligence. From your perspective, how can initiative like this bridge the gap between academic research and technological innovation?
Well, thank you. I believe programs such as Al-Khawarizmi launched by the ADD with other stakeholders in an ecosystemic approach, and of course other initiatives are extremely important because they contribute transforming research into concrete economic and societal value. One of the key challenges in many ecosystems is that research often remains confined within universities or laboratories without reaching industry, public services, and citizens. What is particularly interesting about the Al-Khawarizmi program is precisely its applied and multi-stakeholder approach. What is very important also is the diversity of sectors covered: healthcare, agriculture, industry, energy, logistics, environment, education, and justice. This clearly shows that the aim is not technology for technology's sake, but innovation connected to real national priorities and concrete socio-economic needs. From my perspective, this type of initiative creates impact at three levels. First, it strengthens collaboration between academia, government, and industry. Researchers work more closely with operational realities and market needs, as we said before. Second, it accelerates technology transfer by supporting transform research into prototypes, scalable solutions, and potentially startup or public sector applications and solutions. Third, it contributes to talent retention and ecosystem development. When young researchers and innovators see opportunities to develop real projects with national impact, they are more likely to remain and innovate within the local ecosystem. I also believe that programs like Al-Khawarizmi can become important models for regional cooperation across Africa, because many countries share same development priorities in sectors such as climate resilience, agriculture, healthcare, education, and public administration. Ultimately, the success of initiatives such as this program should not be measurable solely by the number of projects supported. It should be measured by its ability to transform ideas to solutions, solutions into adoption, and adoption into tangible economic and social impact. Because research creates knowledge, innovation transforms knowledge into solutions, and impact occurs when those solutions concretely improve people's life. So to conclude, I believe these programs are important also because they promote a responsible and inclusive AI development, AI that is connected to real societal priorities and able to generate measurable economic and social value.
Excellent. No, thank you very much. Transforming ideas to impactful solutions. That's maybe what summarizes it all. And it goes through talent retention to innovation and incubation. Now, Anya, you have the last question where I try to go back to regional integration. We're doing regional integration partly because of the investment needed are huge to put some of the data centers and all of that. We need to diversify and share the infrastructure. Now, there will be a kind of a dilemma because there is the sovereignty aspect of it, national priority, but at the same time, we need to go regional. So how do you strike that balance between regional integration versus sovereignty and national priorities?
Excellent question. Thank you so much. From the DCO perspective, we do actually see national sovereignty and regional cooperation as part of the same coin. So these are not conflicting concepts. And this is really important, especially in the time and age we are living in. First, because we are living in an interconnected world. So it's very clear that we can only benefit if we also benefit from the opportunities that are being provided, but also face reality, right? Dr. Habibi said, I mean, everything is connected, and it's not only connected to this place, even here in this room here. So definitely the concepts of regional cooperation and digital sovereignty are not competing. They are mutually reinforcing. And for this to really work, we need interoperability and common standards. They are really critical for enabling the cross-border digital services and digital trade. At the moment, unfortunately, we see quite a number of diverging regulatory models, particularly around data access, protection, and cross-border flows. And these create actually serious barriers also to innovation and cooperation. So that's an area we definitely need to work on. And this is an area also where DCO offers support through a very concrete mechanism, which is called the Interoperability Mechanism for Cross-Border Data Flows, where we are combining privacy principles, models, contractual clauses, accreditation models, etc., so that they can really work across different ecosystems. Second reason why we actually have to collaborate, at least at the regional level, is that many countries simply cannot build the full AI stack alone. It's very clear that the capacities are limited and also not necessary to be done individually, because there is a lot of benefits we can reap from working together. In terms of the finance around AI compute capacity, the data infrastructure, or also the specialized expertise that is required at scale. So shared regional infrastructure knowledge platforms can definitely reduce costs, accelerate deployment, and also expand access. And we have already seen a number of good regional examples. Dr. Habibi already mentioned at the ASEAN level, but we of course also see good developments in Africa and also in Europe. Different, really interesting, exciting, smart initiatives there. One issue also I want to mention why regional collaboration and cooperation around this is super important is just the reality we have been facing, including also in the last few months in the Middle East, for instance, where we have seen how vulnerable actually national infrastructures, digital infrastructures are, and also regional infrastructures. And that really means we need to come together to safeguard the civilian digital ecosystems together to make sure that they actually can withstand these types of shocks. And again, this is an area where DCO is now investing heavily in, and we are also calling for all the different partners to join us in this. So definitely we need to build resilience and also trust again, I mentioned that before, to build into these regional AI infrastructures right from the beginning. And overarchingly is definitely AI is not just a technology project, but it's a shared regional development agenda built on trusted infrastructure, skilled people, effective governance, resilient digital ecosystems, and again, strong partnerships, if I may. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anya. We heard that regional integration is not mutually exclusive with the sovereignty in terms of AI. And then what matters is to build resilience, the resilience infrastructure. So with that, let me just try to see if the audience, if there is any question here. I'll take two, and then we'll come back to the panel. Gentleman over there.
Hi, thank you.
Can
Mehdi Bashir from Court International.
Uh-huh.
I start by thanking ISDB for hosting this wonderful event.
Thank you.
The government of Azerbaijan for the hospitality, and the panelists for the very insightful conversation. I think it's very clear from everything that was discussed here that the conversation on AI has organized itself under three main streams. You have the regulatory and the normative one, where we're looking at the ethics and the accountability aspects. You have the infrastructure side, which is computing capacity and data sovereignty. And the third one would be strategic and visionary. And here Anya has listed some really helpful points about what needs to be done in order to be successful. We work with over 50 governments across Africa and the Middle East, and some of the feedback that we have received also points out to governments and private sector approaching the question of AI for governance from different perspectives. So you have governments looking at the issue from a perspective of risk, accountability, rights, but also institutional capacity. But you also, on the other hand, you have private sector, which looks at it from a standpoint of performance, efficiency, innovation, and sustainability. So the question is, it seems to be a growing gap between the language that is spoken by governments and in terms of priorities and expectations, and also what is being proposed by the private sector. Okay. And the question here, sorry, I'll stop.
Can we wrap? We have to move.
The question here is, how do you propose that we address this gap, this growing gap between private sector and public sector? And one last point, you mentioned the importance of cooperation and interconnectability. We are in a context of multilateralism is going through a crisis regionally and globally. How do we overcome this obstacle? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anya, your questions, one is on the PPP, how the dialogue public-private, and then this gap. Let me go to Mr. Mbake for the second question.
Thank you. My name is Mohammed Lamin Bake, and I'm the CEO of the African Institute of Islamic Finance. Congratulations for the quality of the panels. Congratulations to ISDB. I have two quick questions. The first one is there a practical AI applications on agriculture for developing countries like Senegal? And if there is one, what is the challenge of digital literacy around that? And the second question is regarding governance, which Mrs. Anja said is a key, and Indonesia also said is a key thing. The challenge of our governments to have the resources to build the right infrastructure, like data centers and all that. Is ISDB working on providing enough funds for developing nations to build that infrastructure? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have 4 questions, so let's try to pick one of them. I think that you can pick them. Anya, you have one that is directed to you, which is the PPP, but you can pick any of the question. And if you allow me, I'll start with the last one, what ISDB is doing, I think, in terms of building the infrastructure and all of that. For now, we have our new framework that has been approved. We are now trying to do the foundational work, which is more about governance, making sure that we work on e-governance. We have a different project in different part of the ISDB membership where really it is the foundational work. Working on the regulatory issues, working on the enabling environment to get the AI and the AI strategy now. We have not moved into operation, but that's the next steps. Once the foundations are really set, then we plan to move forward to, we have some pilot cases in, I remember pilot in the Maldives, I think we have Nigeria or Uganda in Africa where we're covering. So there is a work starting, and this new framework that we have is dated to 2025. It's new for us, so we're trying to build the foundation before we move. So Anya, you want to take the public-private, and then maybe whoever wants to take the question, and then.
Thank you so much. Yeah, public-private partnership is definitely a major challenge, but also a major opportunity, and part of the triangle actually that we need to put in place to really move big in terms of the AI implementation in a responsible manner that really creates prosperity for everyone everywhere. But just to be very clear from my perspective and also DCO's perspective, there are currently a number of different international platforms where actually this dialogue is happening between governments, private sector, between technical support providers, because they're also very important in that, in this context, and of course the funders as well. And they all need to come together. At the moment, to some degree, these different groups are speaking different languages. And we do not have a really clear shared agenda. And also, we have not managed with the private sector to really establish where the shared values are as we are moving forward at a neck-breaking speed, yeah? So it is really important to support and use these international platforms that are existent. DCO is one of them, and we have a private sector ecosystem also that is part and parcel of our organization, where we're really trying to also bring the private sector stronger into a dialogue also with the other partners, and of course everything needs to be led by governments. And we have ITU colleagues also in the room, we have others, we have the UNITAR here, but again, we need to get much stronger together, work on this. We need to move a little bit away from using terminology, language, concepts that actually do not fit the different stakeholders we need at the table. And we also need to seriously review the structure and how we are providing support and how we are providing financing also to these different initiatives. Private sector can play a strong role, but at the moment, I don't think we really have collectively cracked the nut there in terms of really what is the best way of having everyone fully operational there, and having also governments with strong voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Anya. Let me see if colleagues have answer. Do you want to come into the how do we build the governance and infrastructure?
Okay,
or
I wanted to comment on the discrepancy or the gap between that exists and how to lessen it.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Well, let's wrap it in 1 minute. One quickly.
Oh, quickly?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, let's do quick because we have
a quick one.
we're running
Okay.
out of time.
Great.
Yeah.
First of all, I think if you're talking gaps in digital matters, there are many gaps which are not only in the country, but you can talk globally, right? If you look into the structure of the industry itself, I mean, it's clear that the globe is dominated by only a handful of companies. And they come only from one country, or there's actually two, but the other one is not as global as the other. And we need to be smart, I think, in order to escape that trap, basically. Right? We are so dependent on so many things on one country, but how do we actually bring prosperity for all if there is no such thing as balancing this, right? And I think that is something where we have to share, partner, and all these things that we already discussed. Yeah, it's very urgent. And so this gap is not only between people in one country, but it's actually between nations. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's one thing I like to highlight here. Sorry.
Mr. Mazouad, Sugandi?
Maybe to conclude, I will try to answer the question of the gap, because to reduce the gap,
30 seconds.
Three key elements, I think. Clear vision, supporting with concrete implementation to support the idea, the faster growing of AI versus the slowly implementation. The second one concerning the investment on talents, infrastructure, and solutions with a focus on impacts. All of this must have an impact for citizens, for life, extra. And combine successful stories with socio-economic context, supported by collaboration and cooperation.
Thank you. Yumoto, you have...
Yes, very quickly.
Yes.
So responding to your question about agriculture. So my suggestion, well, UNITAR has been working with a number of countries, and one of the countries is Nigeria. And as you probably know, the Ministry of ICT in Nigeria, they have established this extensive dashboard to monitor the products of agriculture, and they have been using digital technology, including AI, quite extensively. So my suggestion would be look into Nigeria's case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then adding to that, we have developed in the ISDB a guide, a manual with the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and this provides all the technology, smart technology in agriculture. I think we can share that with you also if you want to look at some of the things that AI can do in agriculture. Now is the time to thank you for an excellent panel. I'm really happy to be here, but don't move. There is a demo in here. My colleague Shahryar will to show you something. But before that, I know that I wanted to recognize our colleague from ITU who is here, Karim, and then Mariam from Co-Develop. Karim, do you want to say a word?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for the very interesting discussion. My name is Karim Abdelghani. I'm from the ITU Arab Regional Office. And I want to maybe take this opportunity to shed light on some of the work that the ITU is doing in this domain, echoing maybe some of the points that were mentioned on the importance of partnerships. I know I only have 30 seconds, so I'll be very brief. I want to highlight maybe 3 initiatives that ITU is working on. First of all, we're working to assist member states, regionally and globally, to help them develop their national AI strategies. National AI strategies, I understand, sometimes can be, repetitive or maybe not as impactful as people think, but they are important to help guide developing countries to bridge the digital divide and cut corners and achieve what they want to achieve in that regard. Jordan is our first country in the region that we're working with, and we're hoping to expand in other countries. We'll hopefully conclude it by the end of this year. The second thing is that touching on researchers and the importance of building capacities. We've launched also a collaboration with the King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology to help build capacity of researchers, to help them learn how to turn their research, particularly ones relevant to AI, to become startups later and attract investments. We're about to finish the pilot, and we're hoping to move on to expand in Saudi Arabia with CAST, but also beyond CAST to expand to at least 10 academic institutions across the Arab region in the coming 2-3 years. So we're hopefully looking for partners for that as well. Third point I want to highlight is on digital public infrastructure, which is, some of you mentioned the importance of that. ITU has been actively involved in also working hand in hand with governments to walk them through how to build digital public infrastructure through a whole of government approach. We've managed to assist Djibouti, Somalia, Mauritania, and work closely with Egypt as well in this regard, and we're hoping to expand to other countries in that domain.
Thank you.
Last point is I want to maybe shed light on the upcoming AI for Good Summit that will be happening from the 7th to the 10th of July in Geneva. This is the place to be if you want to learn about the impact of AI and where it's heading in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mariam from Co-Develop.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for the very interesting panel. My name is Mariam. I work for a global fund called Co-Develop. What we do is that we work on DPI, and I'm glad that Karim also mentioned DPI, because DPI is the foundation layer for AI. It's very, very important to have the digital identities, digital payment systems, and data exchange seamless and able to accommodate reliable AI stacks as well. What we do is that we provide funds for organizations that are trusted by countries in order to work on these foundational layers and in the use cases that they choose. We also support governments provide the access to the public services that the citizens need. We operate in 24 African countries, 9 Asian countries, and 9 countries in Latin America. One of these examples is Tanzania. We've worked with them on the digital wallet where they're able to seamlessly access and store their credentials as citizens. We do believe that this cannot happen alone. That's why we search for partnerships in order to engineer and, as we like to call, co-develop it together. And I'm here for the rest of the week. I'd be happy to discuss with you further on how this looks for you. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you very
for
much, Mariam. And with that, I would like a round of applause to our panelists, just to thank them for the beautiful work. And then now it is demo time. Saraya, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. So now we are moving to the last segment, and the most exciting one, to be honest, for me, because I've been actively engaged with our partners who will shortly demonstrate some of the key works that we have done. And without further ado, I would like to call upon Dr. Zaki to join me on the stage and showcase some of the key initiatives, precisely 2 key initiatives that the Islamic Development Bank has been very closely working with other MDBs, but of course lead has been taken by the World Bank, and that the actual key initiatives you will hear from the man himself. Dr. Zaki, please join me here. And can we have the presentation on the screen, please?
Hi, everyone. So maybe I should start with a disclaimer that I'm a real person. That name's Zaki Kouri. I work for the World Bank. I'm not an avatar. And also, for sure, I'm not a synthetic persona. With this, maybe just very quickly, to make it concrete, it took us almost a decade to realize that internet has an added value for productivity. And this because basically we couldn't have the right infrastructure or the capacities to benefit from it. We don't want to do the same mistake when it comes to AI. Despite the fact that all the economists have some doubt to prove with facts and evidence that there is a productivity gain. However, I can bet you that this type of technology is transformative. The question right now is are we the one who will transform our economies, or AI will transform us? So with this, I believe that it is clear that unless we have shared infrastructure, as we heard already from our panelists, our shared way of looking at a governance perspective, and mutual trust between different nations and members of member countries of our multilateral banks, we cannot really have the right understanding of how to transform our economies. Based on this, we came with 2 concrete, I would say, projects altogether, where we are looking in order really to expand it at scale. Both of them are already in implementation. Those are not plans, nor a kind of a roadmaps, but real projects. Very quickly, let's start. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but let me take it. So the first project is basically any policymaker or any economist would like to have evidence to make decisions, to allocate investments. Without references, successful or failures, you cannot really move ahead with a decision. And this is why we thought that if we can come with a repository of some of the use cases that we can gather, and we can always let's say, bring to visibility where we are in terms of advancement of our use of such kind of technology. This will bring us more visibility and better decision-making process. So far, we do have almost 100 cases that has been documented. And here I'm very proud to say we, because 7 institutions came together in order to put our hands together, led by World Bank and definitely Islamic Development Bank, also Asian Development Bank, Inter-American Development Bank, and others. So the issue here is not to document the technology. It's really about the how. The how and what we are getting out of it, basically, that is enlightening our process of execution. This is how we are looking at it. Right now, we are in the phase of a pilot trap. Every single country are going through a number of pilots. It could be successful, it couldn't be successful. I'm sure Morocco has plenty of successful pilots, but is Azerbaijan knows about the pilot? Did we take it to scale? And that's the question, and that's the objective that we are aiming all together. So are you joining this initiative? Or you will leave us really accumulating the use cases by ourselves? We cannot do it by ourselves. Every single member country, and in the same time, every agency are really responsible for sharing such kind of use cases that they are gathering, or at least part of it. This is very easy. It's public good. It's open. If you have any issue about accessing it, I'm sure that you can talk to me or Shahryar, and we can really guide you for the next one. Let's have a quick, I would say, just intro.
Every day, AI helps solve problems better or differently than before. AI can unlock new ways to learn, create jobs, and deliver services. But with so many solutions being built, communities often struggle to identify which AI tools can succeed in the real world. Access to knowledge and resources matters. That's why we created the AI repository.
Okay, one more. One more to show that together we're better and even stronger. Definitely during the last 45 minutes, we heard the term capacity across. But capacity to do what? Capacity to be independent in making my decision as a country and as a policymaker, and know exactly what to procure, what not to accept, and what really I would like to amplify. And with this, we thought that if we could come with a framework that is allowing us to institutionalize, let's say, the approach for capacity and training, this can help us enormously. This is very simple. We thought core here that government has a responsibility to regulate, to govern, but also to use and enable. If we are looking at this framework, definitely there are a few pillars, foundation that needs to happen, like core infrastructure, software infrastructure, and DPI, but also there is a kind of a building blocks that needs to come. This is not really taking us away from what AI will enable as a technology in different sectors. We are looking here at 16 sectors. This is the framework that all our organization adopted so far in order really to build a kind of a momentum that is starting with fundamentals for policymakers. And then each month we are focusing on one pillar that can take us together with private sector, with industry, and others. And this will continue. This is the first cohort that will continue until the face-to-face that will happen in Korea, one of the wonderful countries where I experience, let's say, the trajectory of digital transformation taking another level. And by the way, Korea could be a third a third option other than the two extremes that we are seeing when it comes to the AI landscape. This is where we are meeting all together with almost 120 countries. Let's say, the host will be the World Bank, and we are running, let's say, the last sessions of our capacity development. The next cohort will start in January. Altogether, if you would like to join this cohort, so please, that's the time in order really to raise your hand, or at least raise your interest to us. Thank you very much for this. I hope that I made it in less than 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zaki. Excellent intervention. I would like you to remain on stage. Dr. Hassan, if you can please join us. You have brief 2 minutes because we are running out of time. And then we just, okay, maybe we can have a quick photograph for the session. And then, so that at least, because I know our DG has to take another spot. So maybe one quick photograph and then 2 minutes to Dr. Hassan. Please come and join us. Mr. Asadov, please have. Brother Hamza. So I know we are running short of time. Just 2 minutes to Dr. Hassan, if you can have. Yeah, you can. Yeah. No, we can just go on to just briefly explain, and then we can run the video later on.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you to Islamic Development Bank and the government of Azerbaijan to host us in this wonderful city of Baku. I don't think I need to repeat the importance of AI and the importance of sovereignty anymore. I think we all understand that context very, very well. So the question no longer remains about if we want to build sovereign AI capacity anymore. It's more about how and when, okay? So Saudi Arabia took a lead on that, and Alhamdulillah, as part of the policy, the government is focusing a lot on the AI side. But vision is one thing and implementation is something else. So we are, as Go Telecom, focusing on the action part of it. There are, as a telco, national telecom provider, we already have the infra and the fiber in place. We are building the entire AI use cases, but more importantly, we have got live data centers in Saudi Arabia right now. So when I say live, what we mean is 3 things. One of them, an operational data center currently working in Muruj, which is serving almost 2,000 government and non-government institutions. We have another data center, which is on AI with Princess Noura University, which is currently serving the customers. So we already have the compute in place. The third one is going to be launched in autumn of this year, a 4.5 megawatt capacity, serving from multiple perspectives. So we have got co-location space, we have got dedicated white space, we have got GPU as a service, managed service. So the entire stack of AI is already available. So it's very important to understand that AI runs on top of infra. So we build the entire infra to help governments and private companies as of now. And if you look at the last part of it, the data embassy. So we are focusing on a very important part that you can build your own data embassy while your country is being developed as you go. So Go Telecom's offering, very quickly, as I said, we are talking about GPU compute. We are talking about AI models developed locally, deployed locally. We are giving GPU as a service as well to both public and private sector. And I think if we just talk about Saudi Arabia, I mean, there are data centers which are serving that, but we are going beyond that in partnership with ISDB to offer these services to the Islamic development countries, okay? So I'll quickly go to the last part. So you can work with us in terms of building a data center. We can help you build that. While the data center is being built, what we can offer is providing you compute from day one. And lastly, if you want space right now, there is space available where you can deploy a data center, and the connectivity can be served further.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hassan. A round of applause for Dr. Hassan from Go Telecom. And apologies for taking a bit longer. We now call the session a close. I hope you had a good time. And we can be reached from the Islamic development side and also our partners. Please do reach out to us if you want to be part of the global repository, the AI Academy program, or learning from the data center example, or any other financing that you would require for any AI project. So once again, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate your presence here. Thank you very much.
Sorry, we have another session which we are late. Excuse me, we have another session which need to start in 2 minutes. Bro, tell him we have another session. People are waiting. I mean,
Who is the MC for this session? Let her come and then tell them.
distinguished parliament members, honored aides and representatives of the Islamic Development Bank and Supreme Audit institutions, ladies and gentlemen, it is a distinct honor and profound pleasure to welcome you to the Baku Congress Center for this special event dedicated to Supreme Audit institutions, entitled Digital Public Audit for Sustainable Regional Integration, organized within the framework of the annual meetings of the Islamic Development Bank. A very warm and gracious welcome to all our distinguished guests. In the contemporary era, sustainable development, economic progress, and regional cooperation are inextricably linked to the innovative mechanisms driven by digital transformation. To effectively navigate global challenges and leverage future opportunities, the theme of our panel today assumes a profoundly strategic significance. Distinguished participants, prior to initiating our panel discussions, I have the great honor of inviting our esteemed speakers to deliver their opening remarks. First and foremost, I have the distinct privilege of inviting the Deputy Chairman of the Chamber of Accounts of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Mr. Nasser Sadigov, to deliver his opening address. Mr. Nasser Sadigov, the floor is yours.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are pleased to welcome you to this event on digital public audit for sustainable regional integration, organized within the annual meeting of the Islamic Development Bank Group, and express our gratitude for your participation. Digital transformation is no longer merely a process of technological innovation. It's a strategic shift that affects the reshaping of public administration, public services, and accountability mechanisms. I would like to illustrate my point with some figures. The digital economy currently accounts for 17.3% of global GDP. Global technology spending reached 5.2 trillion USD in 2025. This represents approximately 4